People, deluded, I'm back again. Now, you lot know me, I don't like to criticise people's opinions and thoughts. Football is diverse, we're allowed to think what we want. Plenty of times, I don't believe anybody's right or anybody's wrong. Football's a subjective game, it's ever changing. That being said, there are some opinions I stick to and has stick behind, especially when I read some of my comments and you lot have got onto me and it's been proven that I was right. Equally, I've been proven wrong all the time. I don't really care about that. Football is a subjective sport. I learn off you lot all the time. As a lot of the comments I see, I'm like, oh, I thought this way. But the way my man's put it, is there something in there? And I'll go do my research. And plenty of times I'll be like, no, I still stick to my thing. But I understand where my man's coming from. Or I'm like, nah, he's actually right. And I think that's the problem with life. People don't like to accept when they're quote-unquote wrong or new information has been presented, they can think a different way. And I think football is the best example of that because it's always changing. You know, my man might have been the best this season. You know, a year from now you look silly saying he was the best, but them times there he was the best. This is what I'm saying. Football is always changing, sort of thing. And I think nothing puts change more than Arsenal now. Like, Arsenal's been a massive club, but we've never been, you know, Champions League, you know, doing what United's doing what Barca's doing what these sort of, you know, these sort of things. We've caused people sleepless nights. We've made history. We're a very, very prestigious establishment. There's many things to be proud of historically about Arsenal. The problem is presently with football, you know, if you're an Arsenal fan, United fan, you know, a lot of fans in general have trouble like just moving on from things. Football brings out the tribal emotions, but just seeing things for what they are. Many people hate to see things for what they are, whether that's managers, whether that's players, whether that's he's not good. People don't like to eat humble pie. People don't like to see things what they have. Very few things heighten emotions as much as football, as you guys know. And I think many Arsenal fans, for fans in general, but specific to my Arsenal fans, because I can only speak on my reality. A lot of fans are under no illusion where we are, but a lot of fans, I'm seeing it, and I do think it comes across as disrespectful and a bit arrogant to the smaller teams as well. When you watch interviews or you watch people and they say, we're Arsenal, we're not supposed to lose to this and that. Don't get twisted, we are Arsenal. We are supposed to, especially moving to this new stadium and the wages and all the players we've had, we're supposed to be trying to do what Liverpool and City are doing and definitely getting top four. That should be the ambition, but that's not what we are right now. That is not. So when I hear we are Arsenal, we're this, we're that, I do think it is a bit distasteful. I think it does lack humility, and I do think it is a bit arrogance, because you can say we're Arsenal. Do you think Brighton are scared of Arsenal? This is the thing. We're not feared because we have 6 foot plus players with you know, lovely technical ability, and the smaller ones are equally as strong. Like with the Invincibles, we're not like that anymore. We're not with the smaller. We're not where, you know, we moved away from being league winners and league title challenges and things like that per se, but we was admired for our football. Let's be honest, there was a time where only Barcelona could talk to Arsenal during the time we've been to the Emirates when it comes to football, just playing the game, playing beautiful football. We don't have that anymore, so we can't be admired for our tenacity, we can't be admired for our football, we're definitely not admired for our sporting achievements. That doesn't mean people don't recognise we're, you know, still a big club, still a historic club and things, but this whole we're Arsenal thing, you need to pull the wool between from your eyes and see things for what they are. And I think when I hear comments like that, people struggle, because we're not the Arsenal of yesterday. We're not. This is our Arsenal. In many ways, there are many ingredients for us to return immediately to being a top 4 team. It's easier said than done, but we all know you sign the right players, you sign centre halves, you improve the midfield, you surround Arteta with the right people he wants. You know, the owner wants to win. Things can get going in that instance, but you need to look at it for what it is. Listen, many teams, even though we've been failing, many teams would like to be in the position we've been in, which is again why it stinks. It kind of screams arrogance, people. But by the same token, we need to look at it. We sit 9th or 10th, yeah? 13 draws, yeah? What's it? Where's the stat? I'm pretty sure we only have like 3 away wins all season. But in the last couple of games, where is it, people? What's it? We've won just one of our last 14 Premier League away games. You know, we haven't beaten Brighton in 5 games or so. Arsenal are an open book. People are not fearful of Arsenal. People relish in playing Arsenal. Whether you're a player, a striker that ain't scored in however many games and you want to score, this is the game to get your confidence back. Brighton have been struggling to win the whole season. You know, they've got 2 wins against Arsenal. I'm sure they haven't won in 2020. They've got a win against Arsenal. Why? Because they relish it, because of where Arsenal are as a football club. And I think when I hear people saying we're Arsenal with this and that, it takes away from the problems that are at hand and the issues. I get it. We are Arsenal. We should be doing what we're doing. But right now, we're not that. We're not that. Like I said, 13-14 away draw, 13-14 draw. Sorry, you know, however many away defeats. We've only won 3-4 times away from home all season. In our last 14, we've won once. You know, the lack of clean sheets. What top team? Leno is a bad boy keeper, and you know, he's really convinced me personally. Like I said about humble pie people, he's really convinced me. But at the same time, Leno's praised for making enough saves and things, and he's a goalie. He should be in the same way a striker is. But what top team has the goalie facing the most shots in the league, or one of the most shots in the league? It doesn't make sense, people. There are many things that need to be, people need to see it what it is. You know, we've got Raul Sanya in the board, they need to pull it out. You know, if they pull it out in the summer, we give praise. But we heard a lot and we're seeing under deliverance. We're not seeing Arteta backed up correctly. Obviously, Arteta probably has question marks. Now, he's been here long enough to know not to do certain things. The winning mentality is not there from Kroenke. We have borderline championship quality players collectively. There are some good players. There are some players you could persist with, but collectively the squad is underwhelming. The squad is damaged. The squad is damaged mentally because we're unable to manage out games. We're unable to start games well. We're unable to react when we've conceded and press on and things. This is what Arsenal is right now. I don't like to admit this, but this is what Arsenal is, and I think fans need to accept that. Fans need to admit that. What I mean by accept, and please don't take my words, I'm not saying accept this underinvestment, this penny pinching, this cost cutting that affects us longer, you know, the results on the pitch. I'm not saying don't accept that. I'm saying stop holding on to what Arsenal was yesterday. We can get back there one day. By God's grace we will, but we're not that. We're not that right now, and we're never going to get back to that. It's going to be difficult for us to do that. And until people just sit up and wake up and smell the coffee, it is what it is. So when I keep hearing we're Arsenal, we're Arsenal and they're Brighton, it stinks of arrogance, people. It stinks of arrogance, because this is why they want to beat us more. This is why, you get me, this is why we have these issues. We have to stop assuming we're going to turn up against teams, really. Take me back to the days when Arsenal were not even winning leagues, when we was a top 4 team, we'd always finish above Spurs. Things change, people. And until we accept that, many fans accept that, we can't move forward. I get it. You want us to be there. It's frustrating, but, you know, to a degree, you're making yourself angry because you're holding on to what Arsenal allegedly was in the past, people. It's sad, people. And I was going to do this in a separate video as well, but moving away from that, refereeing in this country is a joke, and I'm always going to sound like that as an Arsenal fan. It's going to sound like I'm moaning. There's been many a times we should have had fouls, should have had penalties previously throughout the years. Things have been offside and they weren't given, or goals that were denied. Even this season against United, you know, the ref tried to shag us. Aubameyang perfectly onside. They tried it. But I do think refereeing in this country needs to be looked at, specifically fouls. How that my man in midfield didn't get a foul. He played well anyways, but how he didn't get a yellow card in Brighton's midfield, I don't know. I'm pretty sure Ayew did the same for Palace against Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal players are protected, whether that's, you know, Arsenal seen as the boys who cry wolf, always complaining, soft and all of these things, despite the fact that if you look at our tackles and stuff, we're actually not, we are soft by my standards, but we're not as soft as people are making out. It seems like we're able, Arsenal players can get booked to all fun and games, but other players don't. You look at Garcia against City, he's pulling people. Why is he not booked? Many times at Brighton game, these things are happening, and it's time and time again. You know, Pepe's not perfect this season. Pepe has fouled a lot, and he's not being given. It's not just Arsenal players. Grealish against Chelsea. Look how many times he's fouled. How many yellow cards are booked up? They do nothing to protect these sort of players. Zaha is seen as a crybaby, but Zaha as well. It's not just Arsenal players. There's many players, and I think I'm obviously going to focus specifically to Arsenal because that's my club. But refereeing in this country, especially fouls and protecting the players that are techie. Don't get it twisted. Obviously, if you're gifted technically, you know, if you're like this, let's say the Neymar sort of player, you know, the showman, you want to make things happen, you're going to get tackled more. You're going to get clamped. I'm a right back. I used to kick the living lights out of man. But they need to be protected because you're discouraging skills. You're not protecting it because at base level is someone's health. You know, why should someone have to curb their game beyond reason because of fouls and all of these sort of things, people? And then people get onto them for retaliating like they're not human, people. It's sad, people. It's sad because if you look at it, after 30 games this Premier League season, Arsenal have the most yellow cards with 65, the most red cards with 4, which shows our lapse in concentration, while being only 14th in number of tackles made. So you could say that we're a bit toothless and we make errors, but then you could say we're heavily scrutinised and people aren't scrutinised against us enough, which isn't fair, really and truly, in my opinion, man. Like, Arsenal get booked on average every 3 fouls. You look at Basuma of Palace, Brighton, he's the second player to commit 6 or more fouls in a game against Arsenal this season without getting booked. Jordan, I knew I was right. Jordan Ayew of Palace. See, this is the sort of thing. Back to the main point. I said Arsenal are not feared like 2004 anymore. We're not admired for our football because there's nothing else. Like in during the Emirates era, I'd say. You know, there's poor. On the field, there's many problems with Arsenal. Game management, defending leads, taking leads, just our overall approach to the game. With that, you have to say there's real mental fragilities within this team that cut very deep, cut deeper than we thought. Because I don't know what it is. It's like players that have only been here 2 minutes. I've watched them at other clubs, and it's like you've drained something out of them. Young players, they're trying, but they're like headless chickens of such. They shouldn't be the ones trying to make things happen. Experienced players consistently bottling, and let's be honest. You have to call a spade a spade. Like Arsenal are a bunch of pretenders. Like they do a lot of talking, not enough walking. Whole break we heard we're itching for football back. We're doing this, we're doing that. You've conceded 5 goals this week. What's going on? You're just talking. Like I said, just shut up and do your job. Like I'm at the point now, like I said, Arsenal are rubbish now. We're poor. I'm at the point where I'd accept lesser players as long as they're a group. Like I would love to do what Sheffield United are doing. With all due respect to their players, let's just make us a team where we just spoil everybody else's day. Cause we're not going to get days now because we're not. We can't move forward because we're not on the same page, and I don't think enough question marks in the same way I asked of the players. They're not asked of the people above them, man. Like even you look at our former employee Gilles Gourmandi. He said, we are not able to read the project that's in the hands of the directors and Sanye right now. There's been some debatable signings, and it's not possible to totally see from the outside what they want to do. It's not. 1 minute you're penny pinching with David Luiz, then you're going for young players, then you're going for this, then you're going for that. There's no clear strategy and structure, And I think Raul Sanye, again, I'll get off his neck if he starts doing things. But I had a lot of energy him coming into this team. Go and look at all the videos. I was praising what he was doing allegedly and what we could expect and what he was saying, And I'm not seeing it. You've had Josh Kroenke say, be excited. What is there to be excited about? You've had Raul talking about different knock FC and, all of these things, and players are not going to run down their deals. Is he backing up his promise? I've got a lot of time for Edu, but at the end of the day, Edu's got strong relations with agents as well, even the one that represents him. And, as much as I criticise Wenger and I feel his reluctance to deal with agents or super agents has kind of harmed us, kind of stopped us from getting certain players, I'm not going to lie, I can see the logic because, if it was married, for me, the reliance on agents or signing a David Luiz and these sort of shrewd additions wouldn't be an issue, provided there was a proper structure, trying to find teenagers to mid-20 players to improve us. There's not. We're relying on that. If we was relying on, it seems like rather than calling up these agents with a specific plan in place, we're calling them and asking them what have they got, and we're just saying we'll take this, that and the other, and we're of the reliance of agents. This is why you're seeing, with all due respect, Cedric Suarez come into this club, not be fit, has not played a game. I hope he plays and he's decent, but that's why you're seeing that. That's why you're seeing Luiz. That's why we're linked with William. That's why certain things are happening. You go and look at and if it's not necessarily the agent's ties, go and look at the middlemen, and it always traces back either to Raul or Edu, the bulk of players we're linked with. And this sort of thing is going to cost us in the long run. We have to blame and try and remove Kroenke for getting us for just making us failures and just picking up picking up his money and penny pinching where he can. But he's not alone. He's the owner of the club. The mentality comes from the club. The board members or the directors now who have taken the power out of the boardroom essentially. Not that the board are doing anything. We've got to look at them. But of course, you've got to look at what Arteta is doing as well, because he's been here long enough. I can't lie, I was expecting to see different things, but I do think Arteta can do this thing. If not, we'll review when the time comes. But Arteta is the last one I'm looking at. I'm looking at these players, I'm looking at the owners, I'm looking at the directors, because what is going on? What is going on? You're not going out there and playing for your manager. You're doing a lot of talking. You're not doing a lot of walking. We're seeing a lot of language from these directors, and it's not matching up. And it's even more frustrating when other teams are signing players, and if they're not signing players, there's a project. Like you look at Wolves have a project. Wolves, you can see their fans believing that. Arsenal, for a minute, we had a project. We still have one with Arteta, and that was of a belief. But now we're looking at the board like Arteta's like us. There's not much he could do with these players. He's shown some improvements and stuff. Like we look a tiny bit more assured defensively, but it's not good enough. We're still shipping in goals. He needs better players. Do you get it, people? You look at Wolves, you look at Leicester, you look at Sheffield. These are teams where they've got projects, and there's something for the fans to believe in. There's not really anything for me as a fan to believe in here at Arsenal. I like our young players. I've got a lot of time for Arteta. I'm a big fan of Torreira, Tierney, Aubameyang if he stays. Martinelli, I think Pepe can come good. Shout out to him for scoring that goal. but there's nothing to really be motivated by. You know, there's nothing to really get behind. There's nothing to promote siege mentality. There's nothing I'd say I'd buy into. There's nothing that, you know, entices me at this football club. And the players have got to feel like this. Like, what sort of project, like Pepe, I know he's not been perfect, but what sort of project has he been brought into? What did you tell him you're going to do to sign for this club? When you signed the Bamian, even though Lacazette's been poor, when you signed these men, what are you telling them? What are you telling them? Is it the project of getting back into the Champions League? Like, and are your actions matching that? You have to answer, and that's only for us Arsenal executives and whatnot to answer. But we need to just start looking at what it is. Like, just everybody just needs to look at, and I know it's difficult to look at this Arsenal team, but this is what it is now. This is what it is. We didn't get here overnight. There's been numerous failings over years. New existing staff, previous owners, previous players, new players. We're here by design. We're not here by accident. You don't wake up and go from a team which was getting top four for 20 odd years, invincible, giving Old Trafford and United something to think about, to, you know, is what it is now. And as much as Arsenal can rely on history and stuff, you know, forget the top six. There's a couple of teams in the Prem. If Arsenal go for them and another team goes for them, are you going to sign for it? As much as I love Arsenal, and I think players would pick us over Leicester, beyond me being a fan, are you picking Leicester over Arsenal? Arsenal over Leicester right now? Are you picking Wolves over Arsenal right now? Are you picking Spurs over Arsenal right now? And I think that one's in the balance. I can never, you know, I'm not saying Spurs, but this is the reality now. This is the reality, and it doesn't. Nobody wants to admit this. We all want the best team. We all want the best players. We all want to be the envy of everybody in the league. That is what it is. But right now we're not that. Right now we are a fucking shit team. Pardon my language, and that's the truth. And I have to ask: are these players looking at themselves in the mirror? Because I'm questioning their professionalism. I don't think, listen, I'm not one of these men who sits there and says, oh, they've got to be dedicated to football. Football has to be their life. No, by all means, yeah, have all other interests you want. But when it comes to football, I want to see you dedicated to your cause. And I'm not saying you're distracted because of other things. I just don't think you care about your profession. Because looking at me as a Sunday League player, I got pride in my performance. When I play on Sunday Leagues here and there and we're losing, I'm ready to smash people in and start, because I want to win. So imagine you, big players, Premier League, Arsenal, potential Champions League. Are you dedicated to this thing? I don't think you're dedicated. I don't think it keeps them up. I don't think they're dying to win. I don't think, like I said, I don't think it keeps these men up. I don't think they look in the mirror enough. Or if they do look in the mirror, they're scared of what they see and they're scared to see the uncomfortable truth. These players are poor on the field, but more crucially, they're weak mentally, and I don't know how we change that. They're weak mentally, and I don't like to speak about that sort of stuff as well, but they are. There's no fight, there's no grit, there's no determination. Listen, shout out to Guendouzi for wanting to knock a couple into Mupé, but, you know, channel that in the right way, because we just look like sour pricks. It don't make no sense. And this is what Arsenal is, and this is what Arsenal's going to continue to be. And it, you know, there is that saying, it's got to get worse before it's going to get better. It could always get worse. We're currently 10th. We could fall. We could go on we could go steady on free flow if we carry on like this. And what scares me is that logically, you know, ARTETA should be backed with significant funds in the window, or if not, identify players that can improve this team and make a short, medium, and long-term impact. If that's not done, and I'm not saying it has to be top, you know, 50, 60 million a piece. Scouts do your job. If that's not done, it is what it is. Logically, you would think, seeing where Arsenal are, seeing what Arsenal stand to lose and how we are, you'd think that would be the case. But with this board, I don't know, because I don't necessarily believe. I know there's, you know, fancy lawyers and people that have been to the best unis and good networkers, but I don't think there's fundamentally enough footballing men. I know Edu's there and he's played the game in the league and stuff. I don't know how much control Edu has, but it just doesn't look good, really, and you just can't see it getting any better, and it just really makes you dismotivated, and it is going to breed contempt for this club if they don't get their act together, really and truly, because the one consistency is ticket prices, you know, all commercial sort of things. Arsenal's one consistency. I guarantee you're going to see us in the top four of any of them leagues, when it comes to fans spending money. But the correlation isn't matching up, and this, you know, fans have had enough now, and you know, fans have had enough for years. You know, you see the ranting and raving on all the internet and stuff, but it's going to get to a point, something's got to give. There's nothing more for me to add, so I'm going to keep it moving, man. As usual, it's always a pleasure, people. Deluded.